The first time she saw him, she barely noticed him at all. He was just a quiet figure at the end of the hallway, pushing a mop bucket across the polished marble floor, his reflection broken into fragments by the shine beneath his feet. She was late, irritated, and already thinking about the next board meeting when she brushed past him without slowing down. If she had looked closer, she might have seen the way his eyes lingered on the framed photos of past CEOs on the wall, or the way his hands, rough from years of work, handled the mop with an almost mathematical precision. But she did not look closer. To her, he was just the janitor. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the idea that people are often more than they appear, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Evelyn Carter had built her life on certainty. As the CEO of one of the city's fastest-growing tech firms, she trusted numbers, forecasts, and clean lines on a spreadsheet. Emotions were unpredictable, messy things that complicated progress. Her days began before sunrise and ended long after her daughter, Lily, had fallen asleep with her homework unfinished on the desk. Being a single mother was not part of Evelyn's original plan, but life had redrawn her blueprint without asking for permission. She compensated the only way she knew how, by working harder, providing more, and believing that success could fill the spaces where time and tenderness were missing. The building where her company operated was a monument to efficiency. Glass walls, steel beams, and quiet corridors that hummed with controlled ambition. The janitorial staff worked mostly after hours, ghosts who erased fingerprints and coffee stains so the executives could start each day fresh. Marcus Reed was one of those ghosts. At 42, he wore his invisibility like a second uniform. Years earlier, he had stood in classrooms instead of hallways, chalk dust on his fingers instead of cleaning solution. He had been a high school math teacher once, passionate and patient, until his wife's illness drained their savings and her passing drained the rest of his world. When the bills piled up and his young daughter needed stability, he took the first job that offered health insurance and flexible hours. Teaching faded into memory, but numbers never left him. Marcus worked evenings so he could be home in the mornings, and sometimes, when his shift ended early, he would sit in the company's small lounge where employees' children waited for their parents after school. Lily was often there, her legs dangling from a chair too big for her, her face tight with frustration as she stared at her math homework. At first, Marcus said nothing. He wiped tables, emptied trash, and pretended not to notice the tears she blinked away when equations refused to make sense. But one evening, when he saw her crumple a page and press her fists into her eyes, something in him stirred that he thought had died years ago. He asked if she wanted help, softly, carefully, as if approaching a wounded bird. Lily looked up, surprised, then nodded. What started as a few minutes turned into an hour. Marcus explained fractions using slices of pizza drawn on napkins, turned algebra into a puzzle instead of a threat, and reminded her that struggling did not mean failing. Over the next weeks, their routine became unspoken. Lily waited for him. Marcus taught. The numbers that once frightened her began to line up, obedient and clear. Her confidence grew in small, beautiful ways. Evelyn noticed the change before she understood the cause. Lily's grades improved. Her teacher sent emails praising her sudden engagement and curiosity. At dinner, Lily talked about math with a brightness Evelyn had never seen before. Relief washed over her, followed closely by guilt. She told herself the tutoring app she paid for must be working, or perhaps Lily was finally maturing. She did not ask many questions. Questions took time, and time was the one resource she never had enough of. The illusion shattered the afternoon Evelyn came home early for the first time in months. A meeting had been canceled, and she decided to surprise Lily. As she walked into the lounge, she stopped short. Her daughter sat at a table, laughing softly, her homework spread out in neat rows. Across from her sat the janitor. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing faded scars on his arms, and he was explaining something with animated gestures, his face alive in a way Evelyn had never seen on anyone in that building outside the executive floor. The sight hit her with a sharp, unfamiliar discomfort. Fear rose first, irrational but powerful. Why was he so close to her daughter, Why hadn't anyone told her? Then came anger, wrapped in embarrassment. She had entrusted Lily's education to professionals, to systems she could track and control, not to a man whose name she didn't even know. Evelyn interrupted them, her voice tight, her posture stiff with authority. Marcus stood immediately, apologetic, stepping back as if reminded of his place. That night, Evelyn lay awake replaying the scene. Lily defended him with quiet intensity, explaining how he helped her understand things no one else could. Evelyn listened but remained unconvinced. She resolved to put an end to it, to thank the janitor politely and make other arrangements. Boundaries mattered, appearances mattered, control mattered. The next day, she called Human Resources and requested a background check on Marcus Reed. The results arrived faster than she expected, and what she read unsettled her deeply. A degree in mathematics, a master's in education, years of teaching experience, awards for excellence in instruction. Evelyn read the file twice, then a third time, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less confronting. The janitor was not just teaching her daughter math. He had once dedicated his life to it. Curiosity replaced suspicion, then slowly gave way to shame. Evelyn began watching from a distance. She noticed how Marcus never spoke down to Lily, how he let her make mistakes and guided her back without judgment. She saw her daughter's shoulders straighten, her eyes light up when a problem clicked into place. It was the kind of learning Evelyn herself had never experienced, raised in a world where success was demanded, not nurtured. Marcus, meanwhile, sensed the shift. He felt Evelyn's eyes on him, heavy with evaluation. Old insecurities resurfaced. He worried he had overstepped, that kindness might cost him his job. He considered pulling back, letting Lily struggle again rather than risk trouble. But each time he saw her waiting, hopeful and eager, he stayed. Teaching her felt like reclaiming a piece of himself he had buried under grief and resignation. The turning point came during a company-wide open house, when employees were encouraged to bring their families. Evelyn stood on stage, speaking about innovation and investment, when Lily tugged at her sleeve afterward and asked if Marcus could come too. Evelyn hesitated, then nodded. When she saw Marcus standing awkwardly near the back, unsure if he belonged, something inside her softened. Later that evening, Evelyn approached him. She thanked him, not as a CEO, but as a mother. The words felt strange on her tongue, vulnerable and unpolished. Marcus listened, nodding, his expression guarded but kind. He explained his past without bitterness, sharing how life had forced him to trade a classroom for a mop. Evelyn felt the weight of her assumptions settle heavily on her chest. In the weeks that followed, changes rippled through the company. Evelyn arranged for Marcus to tutor other employees' children. Then she invited him to conduct after-school math workshops. Attendance grew quickly, not just with kids, but with adults who rediscovered their confidence through his patient guidance. The janitor became a teacher again, slowly, carefully, as if testing whether the ground beneath him was solid. Evelyn watched it all, her worldview quietly reshaped. She saw talent hidden in overlooked places, value beyond titles, and the cost of her own relentless pace. She started leaving work earlier twice a week, sitting beside Lily as she did homework, asking questions she once dismissed as trivial. Motherhood, she realized, was not another project to optimize but a relationship to nurture. The day Marcus was formally offered a position in the company's educational outreach program, he stood in Evelyn's office, overwhelmed. The glass walls reflected a different man now, one standing straighter, eyes clearer, purpose restored. Evelyn felt something close to gratitude for the lesson he had taught her without ever intending to. As Marcus walked out, Evelyn looked around her office, at the awards and accolades that once defined her. They seemed smaller somehow. She understood now that success without compassion was hollow, that leadership meant seeing people fully, not just for the roles they filled. As this story begins to close, if it touched your heart in any way, if it reminded you that kindness can change lives, and that everyone carries a story deeper than their job title, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps keep these stories alive. And before the ending, here is a special request. Comment below with your thoughts on unseen potential and second chances. Your words might inspire someone who feels invisible right now. On a quiet evening, long after the building emptied, Evelyn passed through the hallway again. The floors were already clean, the lights dimmed. She paused, remembering the woman she had been when she first walked past a man with a mop and saw nothing. Now she knew better. She smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because she had learned to look closer. And somewhere in the building, a former janitor was teaching a child that numbers, like people, make more sense when you take the time to truly understand them.